Hello everyone, it's Graham Coath with another My Music. The second of today, I am going to be speaking to Caitlin Lavagna, which sounds a bit like lasagna, apparently, and that's a great way of remembering it. When she gets her merchandise done, it'll have lasagna all over it. But now, before that, we're going to watch our fabulous video from Analog Trash. Do enjoy this. It's got lots of pink and black and flashing lights. If you're affected by flashing lights, look the other way. How the devilment are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming from?
Currently in Liverpool, but obviously I'm Welsh.
Yeah. Okay. Wales and Liverpool aren't that far from each other. So how did you end up there?
So I'm an actor musician. So I'm currently on a job in the Royal Court in Liverpool. Doing a show. So I'm currently in actor digs, but I'm in my friend's house, who's very kindly let me stay with her while I'm there.
What's the show?
It's called Vernon's Girls.
Vernon's Girls.
Yeah, about the famous choir from Liverpool that the 50s and 60s music. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, look, anybody that's dug into any of your social media has discovered this about you. You're kind of a multi-talented person doing lots of different things. One of my favourite ones there on the old TikTok was you doing the news thing.
Yeah.
With lots of harmonies and a little bit of drums and everything else. How did that come about? That was quite cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm not really into TikTok. It's kind of I love to hate and hate to love it. So
Marmite.
Yeah, it's very Gen Z and I'm not. So I'm a bit like, oh. But anyway, it is a great tool, especially if you're a musician. I can appreciate that. But yeah, in 2020 I graduated drama school into the pandemic, which was great.
Brilliant. Well done.
It was really good timing. Luckily I still was able to sign with a fabulous agent called Hannah from Mentor Charlotte, and she and she sent me some information through from the National Theatre of Wales, from Morgan, who was the head of that at the time. I think the head of that, who was wanting to basically. There was a TikTok competition for 2020 grads, I believe, and we had to basically sum up the pandemic using our skill set that I guess we weren't able to use yet. So being an actor musician who plays drums and sings and also a songwriter, I just thought it'd be quite funny we'd all been watching the news at 5 o'clock every day to see what Boris said. Boo, Boris. So I was like, well, I'll just take the Michael and do my version of what the news could be if they put some funky harmonies and stuff.
It's brilliant. It's actually far more entertaining than the news is normally.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Actually, during the pandemic, we all started watching the news again. Most of us don't really ever watch the news on TV, but it was suddenly like, oh well, we kind of ought to watch it because what is going on.
Yeah.
And you suddenly saw this world event unravel before our eyes. But yeah, most of the time we just kind of like go, oh, news, skip.
Well, it's the classic joke, isn't it, that I like to say very regularly, of the newsreader always begins the program by saying good evening and proceeds to tell you why it isn't a good evening.
Yeah.
To hear all the bad stuff. But it's quite sad, isn't it, that in the pandemic, all of us were suddenly interested because it all affected us.
Yeah.
And like when you think about it like that, it's quite a sad thing that we were all so like, yeah, we're going to tune in at 5 because what they say makes a difference to our lives. But when you see these like war things and everything, we're numb to it. It's too much and it doesn't affect us. But there we are.
Now you're saying you don't like TikTok. It's kind of a modern generation type thing. And looking around where you are at the moment, I mean, I know you're saying this isn't really your place, etc. But that's got a very retro type feel to it. Do you feel quite at home there?
I do. This is my very good friend Zoe West's flat, and it is a very creative space. She's an actor musician herself. And so is her wife, Emmy, and the flat's brilliant. Her wife, Emmy, is Welsh. So as soon as I moved in, there's like Welsh dragon cushions everywhere. And like,
nice.
It's brilliant. It's such a creative house to be in. It's colourful. It's like vibrant. And when you're on a job that's really tough, it's really nice to have a space to call your own. Because when you're an actor, you don't always get that. Sometimes you're renting a room in a family house and you don't feel like you can even use the kitchen and stuff. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, no, I can imagine it to have a space that's quite energizing is quite important. Otherwise, it's like you go back to somewhere that zaps you of energy every single day. When did you first start the music side of things?
Well, arguably, I was doing the music before any of the acting stuff took off. I really, when I became serious about music and releasing original music, I should say. Because I'd done brass band, orchestras, samba bands, all sorts of things growing up.
Love it.
Literally everything you can imagine. A folk group at one point, and was involved in choirs and all sorts of things. But when I went to college to do a BTEC because I hadn't got into drama school and I didn't want to just have a year of not being able to train at all. So really, I did the BTEC not because I needed that, but because I wanted to still be doing shows and things. So I met Christian Punter, who I think is now called Otto, and releases his own music and is exceptional and brilliant and a brilliant songwriter. And we started originally a trio called Only the Rain.
Nice.
And it was very like folk indie music, very kind of like coffee shop vibes, kind of intimate gigging settings. And we decided Michael actually left the group, so it just became an indie duo, I guess. And we went all across Wales, sometimes to London, because when I got into drama school, we did that for a bit. And we ended up releasing 2 EPs of original music that we just did from Christian's bedroom, because he's very good at doing all of the tech side of things.
Widdly stuff, yeah.
Like stuff, yeah. So we did two EPs, which went down so well, and like again, just the support we received straight off the bat with that was brilliant, and it really gave both of us, I think, as a duo and individually, a sense of what original music feels like to perform in front of people who know your songs. It's just a very different thing. There's not quite a feeling like it, I don't think. And then when I was in drama school, that ended, and my friend Harvey was like, I want to start a band on the side of drama school. We were all like, you're nuts, we're not gonna have time for that. It's like 9 till 9 every day, intense. But we started a band called Big Wednesday, and me and Harvey predominantly wrote, Harvey being the main writer of that, and then Ryan and Jacob joined in, bass and guitar. And because we were all active musicians and played many instruments, like in our set, me and Jacob would like swap on the drum kit, so I'd come forward to sing one song, and then so it was quite a really fun setup. Obviously, being students at the time, I didn't even have near enough money on the side to be releasing music, but we set up a GoFundMe page. And obviously, at the time, all of our friends in Rose Bruford were so supportive. And we were like, instead of buying us all a pint, put like a tenner into so that we can release this music. And we like released T-shirts and things. And
cool.
That was really fun. That was like rock. That was rock. So that was me on a drum kit then singing. And then the pandemic happened. Ryan's Scottish, I'm Welsh. Harvey was from Brighton, and Jacob was from, oh my God, I've absolutely forgotten where he's from. I always do this. England, Essex, near Essex, I think. So it was just so difficult. And we were all active musicians as well. So trying to keep that together was so difficult. And then I got really sad because I was like, well, I've put all this time, money, and effort into all of these ventures, if you like, trying to push music out there. And it's kind of been thrown back in my face a little bit. And I rather than waiting for another band or another duo or something where somebody else is there, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this myself now, because I've got the experience and the knowledge of how to release my own stuff. And I actually just realized that I'd only really written with other people. and accepted the kind of no, we don't like that lyric. Let's leave that there, or you can't do that, or you can't do this. But at the time, you're just like, yeah, you're right. You must be right. You must be right. But like releasing your own music is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So it was the right time. It was the right time. Did it come with its own challenges?
Yes, especially because I'm a drummer foremost, and I think that is something I'll continue to struggle with. I'm saying I write everything myself. I still write with my producer Joe, and it's odd, isn't it? I still don't really consider myself a songwriter, which is absolutely bizarre. But it's because I feel like I'm a drummer who can sing and knows exactly what I want the song to sound like, and can give you maybe a few chords and little patterns on the piano, but I can't strum a chord structure on a guitar. So that for me is a bit of a vulnerable side to me where I'm like, oh, I feel weird calling myself a songwriter. But, you know, Phil Collins wrote his own songs on the drums and stuff. So, yeah, it's an ongoing challenge, I suppose. But, yeah, you are right. It's the right time for me to be releasing my own music and also discovering my sound. Because for years I've been in duos and bands and orchestras and things like that. And it's really, really lovely to be able to go, no, I want to do this way, and actually have people around you going, well, you can. How can we help you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Phil Collins. Before Phil Collins, there was Peter Gabriel.
True.
And Peter Gabriel played drums, and Peter Gabriel sang, and Peter Gabriel actually quite often starts with his songwriting with his drums.
Which is, I won't lie, for many of the ideas that me and Joe have kind of thrown back and forth to each other through voice notes and things, I've either hummed a tune or a melody and some lyrics, sent lyrics literally written, or I've literally tapped a table if I'm out and about and I've gone, oh my God, what do you think about this beat? I can absolutely hear like a melody coming here. And then Joe would be like, wait, give me 2 seconds. Let me like put that in. Right, let's go with this. And then a song is formed. Yeah, it's great. It's a fun way of writing. I think some people who maybe are used to writing with a guitar would be like, whoa, what? But yeah.
Well, no, everybody's different. And I think it's quite important to kind of find your route through. And then, you know, over time, you might be able to, you know, furnish that with other things as your skills develop.
Yeah.
You know, look at Mr. Gabriel, you know, one of the first people to ever use kind of synths with just sound effects, you know.
Yeah.
Just like noises.
Yeah.
You know?
I've actually just this is kind of on topic and kind of not. I've actually just commissioned my first ever drum skin that's painted by this wonderful cool. small business on Instagram. She's called Thick and Skin, and she's painting it of Karen Carpenter, because she's one of my favorite drummer, singer, songwriters ever. So I'll have to like post about that soon. I'm so excited to see it's like so nearly finished. She sent me a picture last night to be like, oh, I'm just doing the detail now, and it looks absolutely amazing. And
well, again, going through your social media, I mean, we find like, you know, Four Non Blondes in there in terms of covers and etc. that you've done. Have we seen Carpenter songs from you?
Not yet. I'm kind of, when you
are you two in awe of...
I know when you love somebody so much, you're like, I don't want to try and do that. But also I'm absolutely certain that in the future I'm going to have my drum skin on my new Ludwig drum kit with Karen on it, and I'll absolutely do a Karen Carpenter cover that's drumming and singing. Of course I will. But
what would it be? What would it be?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, do you go sort of like way out and do Calling Occupants, or do you do like something a bit more?
You know what I would really love to do?
Pop. Yeah,
there's actually a really famous, just purely a drum solo that she does. That's the clip that goes around all the time, and I would absolutely love to notate that out and learn it and redo it, like with the like lead sister top on that she used to wear, and like But I would sing a Carpenter song. It's like I don't know which one I would choose. And if the minute I chose one, I'd be like, but I don't know. There's so many.
And now you're releasing your own music, which is great.
I am. Yes. This is my 3rd single, and I've got another one that will be out before Christmas as well.
Talk to me about some of that music. Where does the inspiration come from? I mean, Night Bus. I mean, we've all been on one.
Yeah. Oh God, it's great.
Pretty awful.
They are. Night Bus was me falling out of love with London, the place that everyone ever in my life told me I needed to be to make a success of myself, especially in our industry. And it really was. I moved back to London after I graduated in 2020. I moved there with my friends, my best friends, Izzy and Lauren. And we had the best time for such a long time. And as things started opening up after the pandemic and we realized, oh, we actually have to really work to afford to be here now because we're actually going out and doing things and trying to enjoy our lives as well. Yeah, I just came to the end of my tether and I was literally on a night bus. My band Big Wednesday had just broken up, so I was feeling pretty low anyway. I'd literally been into town to have that discussion with them to be like,
Yeah.
this is it then. And I sat on the night bus and I just started crying and absolutely not one person on that bus even gave me eye contact or was like, are you okay? And I just had honestly this sudden realization and hate and just went, this is grim. I'm skint all the time. I've got no time or energy to be at my best in terms of gigging. And when auditions come through, I'm exhausted because I've been working in the coffee shop for 9 hours a day. And I never see my friends because if one of us has got money to go out, the other one hasn't. So I was like, I can't save up for a car or because I'm a drummer, a van. I can't put a deposit on a flat or a house. I would never be able to afford to live in London on my own. It just became like I just literally sat on this bus and had a bit of a meltdown and was like, what am I doing here? Like, this is mad.
It's such a million miles away from somewhere like Wales, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is. And obviously that comes with its benefits as well. And I can absolutely appreciate, like, some of my friends still live there now and I visit now, but in a much better mental place because I've got money, time, energy. So when I go now, I'm like, I'm here for 3 days. I'm doing a gig. I'm seeing my best friend I haven't seen for like half a year, having a coffee, and then I'm off again to the valleys with the fresh air, the fresh water. And, you know, I do miss it. Of course I miss it. I miss being able to just pop in somewhere and see a live band playing and all that stuff.
There's a buzz, obviously, when you live in somewhere like London, and anyone that's watching that lives in London, we appreciate why you live in a conurbation like that. But, you know, obviously I live in the West Country. I live in Somerset, and it's completely different, you know. And we were in London at the weekend and totally get exactly what you say about that whole piece. You know, when I first started working in and around London, and, you know, as you say, you just walk up to receptions. And people would kind of look past you because people just don't see. Yeah, they're busy focusing on what they're doing.
Yeah, on making money and surviving. It's such a survival city. Like, maybe that's another song. Oh gosh.
Well, I was going to say, is it in a way, do these things link? Because you know, your other song there is you know, about how not to start a fight. Well, the thing is, actually, one of the reasons why nobody looks at anybody else in London on a bus or anywhere else is because one assumes that if you do, you're going to start a fight.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, I did get to a point of feeling a bit unsafe just because of my situation. London started becoming the place where I thought, if I go out on a low battery on my phone, just to put this down to simple terms, and if I walked into a shop in north, east, west, wherever London, I can't hand on heart definitely say that I would rely on somebody being kind enough to go, come here, let me help you. Like, I don't think that would happen. And then I've started feeling like a bit of an outsider in a city that I didn't really know. And I was familiar with it. I've been there for 5 years, but I started feeling really isolated when things started opening up again, which was bizarre after the pandemic. I felt better when London had shut down and was quieter and I could walk to my work and all of those things. I felt safer and better there when it was quieter than when it started opening up and all of these people started being there again. And then it was just very overwhelming. And so then I wrote a song about it, obviously.
It's the best way, you know.
Yeah,
it's the best way. Do you feel like your roots are coming out in your music in that way?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about roots. This ballad, We Lost Track, is my first solo ballad that I'm releasing, and it's I love it. It's very different. Well, it's not different for me, but it's not something I've released before properly, and I feel like it doesn't perhaps sound as Spanishy and upbeat and fun as my other 2 songs do. So in terms of roots, my dad's from Gibraltar, so I'm half Gibraltarian. So I feel like a lot of my influences in music have been very different to other UK people because I've always been surrounded by like Santana, Bob Marley and the Wailers, you know, UB40, some really eclectic, like specific sounds. And then
the Carpenters, yeah.
Carpenters and Fleetwood Mac. And then on the other hand, my grandfather's male voice choir that used to sing concerts, and
beautiful.
Such a beautiful mix of culture and experience and music growing up, which I'm so grateful for, because I do think that, you know, even when I work with songwriters and friends of mine, when we write together, they sometimes go, oh, that rhythm, but it's pop. And I'm like, yeah, doesn't matter. It'll still be catchy. We can still do that. Oh, I'll add some triplets in on a cowbell. Well, in the pop song, I'm like, yeah. Trust me. Yeah, trust me. And then when it happens, they're like, oh, this is kind of like pop, but with a bit of a weird thing on it now. That's quite cool. So, yeah.
It's not weird to you. It's just weird to them.
Yeah.
But you were saying roots in this ballad, which is a bit different for you. How does that really come through then?
Well, suddenly we're into saxophone and violin land. Now, obviously, I don't play those instruments. I'm just very fortunate that I've met so many wonderful musicians because of the line of work that I'm in terms of active musicianship. Lots of active friends of mine play different instruments. So I just called them up and was like, I'm doing a ballad. I don't want it to just be piano and me, because I think it needs to be more than that. And then Joe's an exceptional musician and writer, and he was just like, let's do a string quartet. Let's try and do it. And what it became very quickly was me going, oh, I absolutely love that my orchestra days are coming back a little bit, and it's got a bit more classical and kind of, I say this in the most respectful way, like normal sounding. There's nothing massively surprising, but then obviously the bridge comes along, and then I was like, let me have a bit of fun on the bridge. Let me like push the melody up. I wanted to feel like a panic attack because I'm saying the word panic attack. I very much in this song wanted the music to speak for itself without the lyrics. So if you took the lyrics away, you'd still understand the story through the music. So cool. That was a really interesting way of working this time, definitely.
Lovely. Oh, you're spoiling us with all of this different medley of different music from really your kind of heritage, your background, and also you as a person, and actually your makeup in terms of the kind of, I suppose, the theatrical side of you as well as the musical side of you.
Yeah, and I think if I didn't just acknowledge and accept that my life is a bit crazy, because for 2 months of the year I'm in a 60s show in Liverpool about Liverpudlians, and then at Christmas I'm back in Theatr Clwyd in North Wales doing rock and roll panto, and then I'm doing a prog rock musical about acid drugs in February. Like, you know, because I have to put my mind into these and actually give a lot of myself to these random projects and random things at any one given time in a year. I think it does affect my music, because it's wherever I am in the world with whatever group of people I'm with and what I'm experiencing, I'll write about. And some would say like, well, you haven't really found your sound yet and you can't really sell to one audience, but I'm not really doing it.
But perhaps you have.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have.
Yeah.
Maybe to some extent what you're writing is your little travel log.
Yeah. Because I will know now. We Lost Track means more to me than what the song is actually about, because I look back at the day that we recorded in Bristol, and the only reason we did that, and I will remember this, is because I didn't know if I was still going to be on tour with Fisherman's Friends, the musical. So I was looking at my diary and I thought, right, well, I'm using two of my friends, Hannah, who plays violin, and Hazel, who plays cello.
So you had to look geographically at where you could be.
Where are we going to be in the country? Even if I'm not in the show, I know the show is in Bristol. I'll be in Wales. Joe lives in Southwest somewhere. So I was like, right, we'll do Bristol. We'll do it on this day. So looking back at the track, I'm going, oh, and it obviously sounds like that because I'd just been doing 8 weeks of a tour of sea shanties with violinists and folk musicians. So of course it was incorporated into my mind at the time. You know what I mean? It kind of all makes sense. I can now remember what acting jobs I was on and where I was in the country when I write each of my songs, which is quite cool, I suppose.
I think it is quite cool. I think actually, if you ever release all of this as a sort of collective album, you should actually write some notes as well about where you were at the time, and you know, because I think most of us would be fascinated by that.
Yeah,
you know, good. Just not so much this is what the song is about, but where you were and what you were doing at the time in order for this to come up. I think that is actually really fascinating.
Yeah, I try my best when I do my kind of promo release stuff that we all have to do to get it out there. I do try and in my posts, I think for Night Bus, it was the most honest I'd ever been on a post. I put like a little selfie up being like, thank you for loving it and accepting it. And then underneath was like, here's a bit of honesty for you. This is what was going on at the time of this song. It might be an upbeat song that you want to put on the radio, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually a pretty sad
it's a
really sad time. And it was me accepting that maybe London wasn't the big place that I always thought it was. It was a very sad song, but yeah, people seem to really appreciate the honesty. So I think moving forward, whether or not a song is happy, sad, savage, or whatever, I think I just think being honest is better. I think people connect with your music. It's my job as an actor, to be honest. So I don't struggle with it as much as other people might. You know what I mean? I'm quite
interesting.
Quite an open book.
That's interesting. Some people would say, "Oh, I don't get that." Surely an actor is not being honest because an actor's acting. But yeah, you're saying.
But you have to be able to pinpoint bits of you that's experienced the character.
Otherwise, it's
fake. Yeah.
Fake. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an interesting dichotomy, that really isn't it? Yeah.
It is, and everyone's different, obviously. You know, some of my friends who are actors would listen to what I just said and went, "That's not right." It depends, doesn't it, on what you draw on in order to write the songs. I'm so sorry, my phone is going off.
Ding 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 ding! It's all the millions of people watching this going, right. Oh, well done. Okay.
Probably now, my fan.
Yeah, you're one fan. No, joking. Before we go.
Yes.
So for the future, you see yourself carrying on, both being forever and a day, acting, music. It's that you will never separate the two.
No, you know, if one takes off massively, I suppose how I like to think of it is, if acting takes off massively, I'll have to release music because it's my therapy almost, and it's cheaper. Well, arguably. If music took off, I understand that I would probably have to come out of the acting game a little bit and maybe just enjoy the odd music video and things like that. But ultimately, people ask me this all the time. Even my parents, they're like, "Are you an actor or are you a musician?" And I'm like, "I'm both." And I hate the idea of having to be one thing in a box because my whole career is based around the idea that I have to tick a box. Female drummer, you know, from South Wales. You have to constantly push your USP, your unique selling point.
I think we understand that far better these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and you know, I don't think people need to see somebody as this or that. You know, if you're creative who spans different, you know, sort of ways of expressing themselves in art, and I think we actually see that with a lot of musicians these days. We've got musicians who are painters as well, or musicians who write, or musicians who act. I think it's all, you know, that's all very understandable, really. I think it's always been there. It's just that we now talk about it with more understanding than we ever did before.
Yeah, which is so exciting. I think it is a very different scene now, and I think it's, as much as it being more difficult to release music and to get seen and heard and to arrange things like this, I think luckily, again, I'm quite used to pushing myself out there because of the acting and because of having to walk into these rooms with strangers and going, "No, trust me, I can do this job well." And all of these things like add up to, I guess I just enjoy calling myself an artist now rather than anything else, because
I love that. That.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for giving us your time today.
That's all right.
Please, if you haven't checked out Caitlin's music, yeah, please go and do that, and follow her across the social media platforms, and request which of the Carpenter songs you would like to see her sing. So actually, then we all get to know eventually when it does happen which one that will be. Good luck with all of your shows that you're in throughout the year as well. The prog musical rock. Yeah, was it a prog musical?
A prog rock actor musician musical.
I love that.
It's called Operation Julie, about the drugs bust that happened in Wales, and hopefully it's going on tour. I feel like I've just dropped a massive bomb here because I don't think it's public knowledge yet, but it was well received last time, and one of, if not the best job that I've done so far out of drama school. It was so brilliant.
Well, that sounds right up my street, so I might check that out myself.
I'll get you some tickets if we come near you, and we'll do that.
Lovely, thank you. Well, there we go. I say Somerset way, but Bristol, Exeter, that's kind of my nearest thing. Please, everybody, do check out Caitlin's music. Do check out her shows that she's in as well. Go and visit them. And actually, if you're a young person watching this who hasn't really started yet, or is being told by a careers teacher at school that you have to be one thing or another, acting, music, rubbish. Do whatever, do both. Do everything, in fact, if you want to be an accountant at the same time, you can be all three. I mean, this is the kind of world that we live in now. Please don't be restricted by what everybody else is telling you. I think that's the key lesson and takeaway from today. And actually, if you do want advice, I'm sure Caitlin, would be more than happy to talk to you about what sort of journey she's been on herself. Until next time, if you've enjoyed this has been my music. If you haven't enjoyed it, then this has been a video on how to do sheep dips effectively to remove blight, and then do share this with your friends. Until next time, bye for now.